Alrighty, part 2 of our test. I did say that the test was going to be in 4 parts, but it's just going to be 3 parts, just to let you know. So this is part 2. Part 3 will be question 7. When I get to questions done with 6, we're done with this part 2. Okay, let's look at number 3. 1/5 the sum of 1/2 and 1/3. All right, first off, if you're going to find the 1/5 of something, all right, you are timesing. So, and it doesn't matter what order we times, so I am going to write my 1/5 down. And then my times. Now, what am I going to multiply 1/5 by? The sum of 1/2 and 1/3. Well, 1/2 and sum means add, so 1/2 and 1/3. Now, I'm going to multiply 1/5 by the sum of these two fractions. If I don't put some parentheses in, BIDMAS or order of operations would have us do 1/5 times 1/2 first and then add 1/3 to it, which would get us a completely different answer. So what we have to do is put those parentheses around the 1/2 and the 1/3. Next one, 2 and 1/2 times the sum of 9 and 12. Well, that one's easy. All right, tells us exactly. All right, 2 1/2 times the sum of 9 and 12, so 9 plus 12. Again, I want to multiply 2 1/2 by the answer of 9 plus 12. So we want to do that first. So we have to put brackets around that. Our last one is 24 divided by the difference between 1 1/2 and 3/4. Okay, it doesn't matter what order you divide things in, so we have to make sure that that division goes in the right place. Does it go in front of the other operation or does it go in the back? So let's read it again and see. 24 divided by. All right, so yep, 24 would go first. So 24 divided by, now what is it going to be divided by? The difference between 1 1/2 and 3/4. So we have to know what the word difference means. Well, sum is add. Finding the product of things is timesing, of is timesing, divide, or sharing into is all division. So difference, to find the difference of two numbers, you're going to subtract. So we have 1 1/2, take away 3/4. Again, what do we want to do first here? All right, do we want to do 24 divided by 1 1/2 and then take away the 3/4? No, we don't. So again, this one needs those brackets put in. So we want to do 1 1/2, take away 3/4, get an answer, and then we would take and do 24 divided by the answer to that. All right, so that's question number 3. So let's go on to question number 4. Oh, the next page was a mistake. I didn't mean to photocopy lesson 33 homework. That got stuck in the middle of that test, so just ignore that, please, and go and find question number 4. All right, so question number 4 is a great question. All right, a castle has to be guarded, and the people want it to be guarded 24 hours a day, and there are 5 knights that are ordered to split each day's guard duty equally. So if those 5 guys want to divide that equally, or girls, one of the knights could be a girl, no problem. All right, so we have our 24 hours in a day. So that's what we need to divide. All right, split up into. All right, we need to split up all those hours between those 5 people. All right, those 5 knights. So basically, it's just 24 divided by 5. All right, you could write it as a fraction, all right, or do the algorithm. All right, so we could do 24 divided by 5. We know that 5 goes into 24 4 times with 4 left over. And we have 4 and 4/5. All right, or 5 goes into 24 4 times. 4 times 5 is 20 with 4 left over. We need to put our decimal in and a 0, because it did not go in evenly, and we bring down that 0. And 5 goes into 48 times, and bring your decimal up into the problem. And we know that 4 and 4/5 and 4 and 8/10 are equivalent numbers. So the answer could be 4 and 4/5 hours, or the decimal, or the number could be 4 and 8/10 hours. So you could write that either way. Now the next problem is asking you to record that in hours and minutes. So we know the hours. We've got the 4 hours here. So we know we've got 4 hours. What we have to figure out here is how many minutes. All right, what do we have for minutes? We have 0.8, 8/10 is the minutes that we still have to work with. Well, we know there's 60 minutes in an hour, all right, and we can rewrite 8/10 as a fraction, so we need to find 8/10 of 60, our 60 minutes. So 10 goes into 60 6 times. Oh, that's gotten a little messy. And 8 times 6 equals 48. All right, so our answer is 4 hours and 48 minutes. The next part of that is asking you to put it all in minutes. Well, we already have the 48 minutes, so we just got to figure out how many minutes are 4 hours. Well, again, we know that there are 60 minutes in 1 hour, so we need 4 of those. So we would do 60 times 4. 60 times 4 is 240 minutes. Don't forget to add the 8/10 of the hour as well, which was the 48 minutes. And we have an answer of 288 minutes. All right, let's go to question number 5. All right, question number 5. Mark and Jada share 5 yards of ribbon equally. How much ribbon will each get? Well, I've made a fatal mistake here where I forgot to read the directions in the start here. On the blank, write a division expression that matches the situation. So I've got 2 people here, and they're sharing up 5. So basically 5 is being shared up by 2 people. The answer is just 5 divided by 2. Now, this one, it takes half a yard of ribbon to make a bow. How many bows can be made with 5 yards of ribbon? All right, so here I need to divide 5 into up and by half. All right, so basically it's just 5 again. And what are we dividing 5 up into? This time, a half. All right. It says draw a diagram for each problem, then solve. I said if you want to, you can do the diagrams. If anyone did and wants to share those with me, that's great. But I'm just going to do, we're just going to do the solving. All right, so let's look at that. 5 divided by 2. All right, let's write it as a fraction. So let's look at A. 5 divided by 2. 5 divided by 2. That's a nice, easy way to solve 5 divided by 2. 2 goes into 5 2 times. You've got 1 left over, and 2 is your denominator. The answer is 2.5. B is 5 divided by a half. All right, this is where we have division, so we do keep, flip, change. All right, KFC. All right, we have 5, which we can put as 5 over 1. All right, half, to flip half becomes 2 over 1. And change that division 2 times. 5 times 2 is 10, and 1 times 1 is 1. And 10 over 1 just equals 10. So A is 2.5 and B is 10. So this next problem is a great question. It says, could either of the problems also be solved by using 1/2 times 5? All right, if so, which one? Explain your thinking. All right, so here I am just going to, let's just solve. Let's just do 1/2 times 5. All right, and I'm going to write it as 5 over 1. All right, 1 times 5 is 5. 2 times 1 is 2. Look at that. We have that same improper fraction that we had for A right here. All right, so we know that that's exactly the same, that that's going to equal 2.5 as well. So the answer to the question says, let's read it again. Could either of the problems also be solved by using 1/2 times 5? The answer is yes. If so, which one? It was A that could be done. And explain your thinking. Well, my thinking is the working out I'd already done. So I'm finished with that one. All right, last one that we're going to do for part 2 is question number 6. Actually, I think we're going to do number 6 with part 3. So we're going to do questions 6 and 7 with part 3. All right, so if you understood all that, fantastic. Move on to part 3. If you had any questions or a little bit confused, go back and rewind and watch it again.